In the spring of her years, her mother demanded that she make something out of herself. Make me something beautiful, she said, and bequeathed her dark spools that fainted like gossamers when held up into the light. It was then that she began to look at her hands and make the most of a miracle. Using the spare threads of Mama's sharp-tongued wisdom, spat while plaiting the unruly strands of her hairs on Sunday evenings. She steals conversations from women and grocers and church pews, burying visages stained to a window she looks out from to stare at her memories, line upon line, stitch upon stitch. Line upon line, stitch upon stitch, line upon line, stitch upon stitch. She sews these stories into the seams of her dreams. Mismatched threads of love and lost, freedom and cost, being a girl, becoming a woman, and the pain in between of growing into her own bones. She learns to intertwine her fingers with the disjointedness of sorrow, line upon line, stitch upon stitch, line upon line, stitch upon stitch. Sewing into the life of the stranger who will forget to say thank you. She makes breakfast as she makes beds, raising kids without dads, pouring cups of coffee like dark pools until she can no longer see her own reflection, line upon line, stitch upon stitch, line upon line, stitch upon stitch. Repurposing the hand-me-downs long ago washed of the savor of their novelty and patching the tears of loves and lives long gone, for she has become a master at making something out of nothing. For it was her who wove the basket for the boy whose 2 fish and 5 loaves fed the 5,000. I said it was her who wove the basket for the boy whose 2 fish and 5 loaves fed the 5,000, and yet she goes unnamed. For she is gifted in the invisible intangibles of this world, where the people often do not praise the pattern she makes. Their vision is too small to fit into the needle's eye of her sanctum, and yet weave she must, and weave she does, line upon line, stitch upon stitch, line upon line, stitch upon stitch, line upon line, stitch upon stitch. Throwing out her quilt and staking its 4 corners to herself as her country, trapping fiber songs of joy, marrying the asymmetry of yesterday's agony with tomorrow's ecstasy, recalling the discontinued fabrics that stained her possibilities, line upon line, stitch upon stitch. Weave she must, and weave she does. For the lineage of her many mothers wish to see themselves in her pattern and make celebration of her tapestry. Weave she must, and weave she does, line upon line, stitch upon stitch, line upon line, stitch upon stitch. For although the world is a spinning wheel, only she can mother its design. Weave she must, line upon line, stitch upon stitch. The children now yearn for her stories. They want to hear her songs, the one where the woman becomes the weaver and the web, the one where the woman finds the miracle within the very strands of her hands, the one where the woman changes everything she touches, the one where the woman stitches herself whole.